welcome to the July series of Nollywood Filmmakers Forum. We're hosting this event from the Nollywood Studies Center of Pan-Atlantic University, Ibeju-Lekki, Lagos, Nigeria. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this forum, which turns our attention to film festivals. My name is Tony Adah. I'm an instructor in film studies at Pan-Atlantic University. It is my honor to host this forum today. We will start with some house dressing, just a couple of announcements. First, Ms. Ugoma Adegoke, pardon me if I've said the name incorrectly, but Ugoma Adegoke might leave the forum just before we close at about 1 o'clock this afternoon. She has another engagement that she needs to go to. And secondly, Mr. Victor Okhai will not be able to join us until 12 noon because of prior engagements. So having put those two announcements out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and announce a very, very important guest for this morning and afternoon. We have 5 guests overall, and I have opted to introduce each one of them very briefly in alphabetical order of last names. So I will begin with Ugoma Adegoke and end with Chioma Ude. So let's begin. Ugoma Adegoke is an independent art curator and advisor, an art advisor. She's the founder of the Lights, Camera, Africa Film Festival, which was created in 2011 to stimulate conversations and discussions and experiences that are anchored in the African and especially Nigerian experience and culture. But apart from being a CEO of a film festival, Ugoma Adegoke is also the founding director and chief curator of Bloom Arts Lagos. She's an avid art collector, gallerist, and multi-arts curator. Her festival, the Lights, Camera, Africa Film Festival, creates space for a wide range of independent films across several genres and lengths, so shorts, features. This is in addition to the support the festival provides for emerging filmmakers and the hosting of a variety of training opportunities for filmmakers. Welcome to the forum, ma'am. We are glad to have you here. Our next guest is Mr. Fidelis Duker. Many of you would know him already. He's the director of Abuja International Film Festival. Fidelis Duker is one of Nigeria's most experienced filmmakers currently. His record in the industry cuts across writing, directing, producing for film, television, and radio. He's got well over 80 film credits under his belt. He has been part of the leadership institutions of the film industry since the 1990s, including Directors Guild of Nigeria, the Federation of Pan-African Filmmakers, Africa Festival Network, AFRIFF. Is the founder and festival director of the Abuja International Film Festival, which started in 2004. The festival is probably the longest running film festival in Anglophone West Africa. It is also important to mention that the Abuja International Film Festival has international affiliations as well. Mr. Fidelis Duker is one of the founders of Project Nollywood and founder CEO of FAD. Welcome, sir. We are glad to have you here this morning. Our next guest that I'll introduce is Mr. Hope Obioma. He is the CEO and founder of Eko International Film Festival in Lagos here in Nigeria. This festival began I believe, in 2010, in the summer of 2010. Other than running this festival, Mr. Hope Okpara is also, is also the CEO of Supple Communication Limited, under which the festival is actually organized. Supple Communications is responsible for publishing a magazine that features festivals in the continent and cultural content as well. So it is a magazine that we should all subscribe to and support. Our final guest in terms of the male guests this morning and afternoon is Mr. Victor Okhai, who I said will be joining us at about 12 noon. Mr. Okhai is a producer, scriptwriter, cinematographer, director, and film consultant. He was one of the co-founders of the Directors Guild of Nigeria. He has written for both TV and film. He's directed and produced a variety of content for both platforms. His documentary short, Waiting for Hosanna, was a winner at the Oscar qualifying film festival, River Run Festival in North Carolina, United States. He has created content for many international organizations, including BBC, CNN, and Al Jazeera. Mr. Okhai is the director of the International Film and Broadcast Academy in Lagos, and he's an external lecturer at the National Film Institute, Jos. He's director of InShort Film Festival, the biggest short film festival in sub-Saharan Africa at the moment. Let me go to our final, last, but definitely not the least guest, Chioma Ude. Chioma Ude is a passionate film consumer and commentator. She has been in the film industry for over a decade, with a pivotal moment, which was her involvement with the production of 2007 Nigerian Film and Video Censors Board UK Roadshow. Moving on from that event, she produced the 2008 African Movie Academy Awards and the AMA charity benefit. Cheoma was also the local producer of the touring International Film Festival held in Port Harcourt, and whose objective is to promote global awareness and peace through the arts, film, and culture. Cheoma is passionate about fundraising to support filmmakers, and her efforts have netted some major winners. She's the founder and executive director of AFRIFF, which I'm sure will be the focus of most of the questions and comments this morning and afternoon. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome, everyone, to our forum on film festivals today. One final thing before we begin the question and answer session, I just want to say that usually the forum has hosted one guest. Today we're hosting 5 guests. So managing time is going to be very important in our process. I will appeal to all our guests not to hog time when you're responding to questions. As for viewers and participants out there, please post your questions on the chat. I'll pick them up from time to time. Make your questions brief and direct, and sometimes it will help if your question is directed specifically to one or the other of our guests this morning. Welcome again. I'll get the ball rolling. Let's take a breath, and I'll get the ball rolling with our first question. So I'm sure this is a question most of you have been asked before, but it is worth asking now that 4 of you are here with us. Why did you start your film festival? What need were you trying to satisfy? As part of your answer, maybe you could also speak to the mission of your festival, when it started, if it has evolved, or whether it remains the same. So that's our first question this morning, and I'm ready to take anyone who is prepared to go first.
Thank you very much for inviting me, first of all. As you aptly described in the introduction, Lights Camera Africa really was started out of a need to showcase some of the, I would say, more unseen art house niche films coming out of Nigeria and Africa. Obviously also including films that necessarily were not of an African or Nigerian origin, but spoke to our experiences. A lot of the mission of my other work in the arts. So I would say we wanted to be a home and a platform, sort of for the alternative and generally at the time under-supported, filmmakers who are doing more experimental, should I say less commercially sexy type of content that we felt was also valid as far as it met a cultural solution and experience. So that was really the mission. It grew quite organically from our film film weeks, and I would say that festival hasn't really changed. Of course, COVID-19 has changed a lot of things, and I don't think it's specific to the film industry or my film festival. But I'd say we've stuck through to the mission, and it's still the mission. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, we can move to any other guests.
Okay.
Ready to pick it up?
If you permit me. Yes, I could go. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. The festival was really birthed from the need, particularly from my need, to see us succeed and excel. I think in hosting the festival, Eko International Film Festival, I literally understudied it to see what the gaps were and where we were with the rest of the world. So I recall the films that came on board and how our films were so commercial and hardly art-oriented. I remember I went to Cannes to also understudy how they did theirs. Now, I knew there was a huge gap in also taking our film from just being very commercial to also being very artistic. I wanted us to bridge that gap. So for me, there were many questions. Why are films this way? And not necessarily that they were poor, but we needed a lot of help. In all my findings, I realized we needed a lot of funding, we needed a lot of education, and also a platform to showcase ourselves. So the festival birthed from all of that. Now, we've finally become that festival that is very focused on trainings. So we found partners, a lot of partners would say, okay, from the best trained participants, we could send maybe 10% abroad. We started that when we started the festival. So over the years, we've sent a lot of students abroad. And going abroad was really to meet with other students, to be trained in a particular way. There was a social consciousness that was missing from our films because it was really commercial. So I wanted us to imbibe that also. So when the students would travel, they wouldn't know they were going for documentary film training till they got there, you know. And initially I would get many questions, what is this? But they enjoyed it. And so for us, if only one person came back very social conscious, ready to change the society or be part of change, we were very happy. But in also learning documentary film making, I mean, you learn every aspect of film. Have we changed? We have changed. We've continued to progress. We have so many countries that have joined us. We've opened the market to so many different culture and filmmaking ways to Nigeria also. I mean, with every year, there's a new country that joins. And when I say join, I mean the one to showcase, the one to co-produce, the one to partner, the one to train. And our last was Japan. And this year, Brazil is coming on board. But in addition to showcasing our films, putting it out there, changing the narrative, and getting our films to do better and be better, especially for award ceremonies. You know, we've also given out a lot of incentives, cash incentives when the festival ends. Are we changing? Constantly. We're constantly changing. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Just before I invite the next guest, one more piece of house dressing. Please, if you are not one of our 5 guests, it will help us a lot if you could mute your microphone so we can hear our guests clearly. The second piece of announcement is that when our guests come on, I think our audience would like to see your face. So if you could turn your video on, that would be awesome as well. We would really appreciate that. I see that Mr. Victor Okhai, who was supposed to join us at 12, is actually here. So welcome, sir. We're glad to see you. Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. Yes, you can pick it up. So I don't know if you heard the question that we're responding to at the moment. Do you want me to? Would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. Yes. So the question was, why did you start your film festival? What need were you trying to satisfy? And as part of your answer, you could speak to the mission of the festival.
All right. So thank you very much. I literally have to drag myself out to be here now. I what I said. It's important. Let me start at the beginning. InShort Film Festival, I would say you would have to understand, first of all, who the founder is to understand the motivation and all that. And that happens to have been me. I have a passion for training for young people, for development, if you like, of the industry. And so I started a film school, actually the first private film school in the country, International Film and Broadcast Academy. And we've been doing a lot of training. And then it's important that for you to graduate from the school, you must you cannot graduate unless you have 2 short films majorly. There are others you will do, but one is a group project to encourage teamwork, and another is your final project. It's compulsory. You don't do that, you don't graduate. And then these films started building up, and then within we would look at them, criticize them, and then we decided, look, some of these things were too good to be left just under the table. At the time, we couldn't find enough festivals to send them to. I remember we sent an entry to one of the biggest student, in fact, actually the biggest student film festival in Europe. There's a film school in Babelsberg that organizes that film festival called Zezwichte. So we sent one of our student films, the Chill Film, by one of our students at the time. He is a fellow. And that film, which was maybe, I think it was 2012 or earlier, I can't remember the year now, but it went and it won the prize at that festival, the top prize there. And, you know, a small black and white film and all that, but that told us that we were doing something. If in our little corner, we could do that, and then it goes out there and the world is able to say, look, what you're doing is very good. Then we felt, okay, that was something good. And we thought there are so many other people who may have films like that, who don't even know that this film, I mean, sometimes you need this validation, local and external, to give you confidence to go further, you know, in what you're doing. So we then decided, along with our partner at the time, Goethe Institute, they helped us in the first year subsequently for a while, to start the Short Film Festival. The first edition was held at the year 2011, which was at Silverbird Cinema. And so from then on, we've never looked back. In creating that festival, we wanted a place where people with short films, I mean, if you go to big festivals, yes, those doing features and the rest are the big stars. A guy wins one shot with a short, he wins the prize for the best shot. Yes, you are there, but you're not one of those that is really, really celebrated, you know? And so we felt that we needed a festival where all the crafts will be rewarded, whether you're a sound person, editor, cinematographer, screenwriter, director, and so everybody can be celebrated. And we also wanted to create a platform too. For me, if you ask me, I felt at the time, it may be debatable now, but at that time that the best filmmakers were not even the ones making the feature films at the time. Many of them were just doing music videos, commercials, documentaries, but they would be short and just keep them on the side. No place to show them, no place to sell them, no place to showcase them. So we wanted a place where we could all meet together and showcase what we do. So this provided an opportunity. And then the other thing was also to give these people an opportunity so that when they win, you can be sure that it draws attention to your work and you have something that you can go out there with. I want to say, what have you done before? What have you won any prizes? Yes, you've done a short, but you did win a prize at the Short Film Festival. So, and these objectives have been met through the years. So many, I don't want to give you challenge here, but a lot of the big names that you're hearing now have been past winners from that Short Film Festival. And it created an opportunity and a platform for them. And we're quite happy. At least I do know that, I mean, if we were to go by recent entries from globally, we get as much as up to 9,000 entries of film freeway. And that tells you how popular it is from all over the world. So people are interested in what we're doing, and we've been able to affect lives, create networking opportunities. And one other thing that we tried to do was to make sure that, you know, when you say short films, people don't think, you know, it's like, okay, so short. We could have said, okay, let's do it in one obscure corner. But I mean, whether we get support or not, it doesn't stop us. We do it, and we try to get to the best places. In the past couple of years, we've been using Sheraton, either what do you call it now? 4 Point by Sheraton, or the one in Ikeja. The reason for that was to create an ambience, you know, for these people. Some of them may be students, some of them are just starting out, but some of them also are a bit experienced, but they have short. An ambience where they can come, feel important, and say, okay, so as a short filmmaker, some of them were even coming to the Sheraton for the first time. But, you know, give them that feeling that, look, you are, as a filmmaker, you are important, that your craft is respected, that you can be celebrated. And I think I'm quite satisfied that our objectives have been met in that regard.
Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate that. Really appreciate it. So we still have 2 guests to go through for this round of first question. We have Mr. Hope Obioma and Mr. Fidelis Duker here, I believe. Yes? Who would like to take it up first?
A very good morning.
Yes, good morning, sir. Nice to see you.
Thank you very much. And thanks for inviting us to this meet. I'll follow the entire, I got the question I did at the beginning of the first, the question you asked. Interestingly, for all the festivals, the interesting part is that when we started 18 years ago, we bottled up some of the challenges most of the festivals that came after have been able to survive. Then there were no film festivals. The last festival was held as far back as 1992. Then there was the second National Film Festival, the Ugoma Film Festival in 2002. Then, of course, there's a 10-year gap, and we felt there was a need for filmmakers to have a platform where they could showcase their film. And at that time, that was when you had this large inflow of filmmakers, either young filmmakers or established filmmakers making films, either for commercial purposes. And these films were just finally in the markets. You could just get them in Idumota or Onitsha, Alaba, and all that. And we felt there must be a platform where you can even showcase some of the very good ones. And then after the second National Film Festival in Lagos in 2002, another long gap again of almost 2 years. And that was when we said, why don't we create a platform where filmmakers can also begin to see their films? Because after 2 years, the last one was 10 years gap between 92 and 2002. And we felt if another 10 years takes place again, what will happen to these filmmakers? And that was why we started the Abuja International Film Festival in 2004. The whole idea was to give filmmakers a platform to showcase, network, trainings and all that. At that time too, interestingly too, there were no cinemas. The Silverbed had not been established then. There were no cinemas. So we had to make do with hotels where we had to create our own exhibition platforms and all that. But the beauty of it was that there was so much interest because most of the established filmmakers then who were making films for commercial purposes, like Amaka Igwe and the rest, they were among our first Zebejiro. They all attended the first Abuja Film Festival in Abuja in 2004. The attention was so peaceful. Many people were there at that festival that year. And what we found out then was that the filmmakers were also looking for a platform to also showcase their work, network, have trainings and all that. And that was why we started then. And then we unlike the niche festivals that we have today, where you have the niche festivals that are either for documentaries or for short films, then we have to open it for everybody, either experimental films, student films, short films. So everybody will be given a place to showcase their films. And interestingly, over the years, this 18 years now, we have received in excess of over 40,000 films, in excess. At the point in time, in the last 5 years now, we've had to use other platforms to receive these films, because then those days when the films come, they come through postal services and you receive films from the beginning of the year to almost to the festival. So for us, I think the whole idea of festival, like you asked, was for us to give filmmakers an opportunity to showcase their work, also network, and also other foreign delegates who are coming in, foreign filmmakers who are coming in, most times sponsored by the embassies and the high commissions in Nigeria. And this was like the Chinese embassy usually sponsors filmmakers to attend the festival. So that was essentially the idea of the festival. And I think to a large extent, my happiness in the last 18 years is that we've been able to see more festivals emerge. Festivals, niche festivals like InShort that I just spoke now. Other festivals have come up over the years, the ones for African films. So the beauty of it is that Nigerian filmmaker now has an opportunity to showcase his film. If you do not make the entries into the Abuja Film Festival, there are other festivals you can enter your films and all that. And of course, there's also a platform of putting our films on international platform where winners from these festivals are also seen at other major festivals around the world. Because we've seen films that have won at some of our festivals, even the Abuja Film Festival, are going to win at the Durban and other festivals on the continent and even globally.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Really appreciate that answer. Okay, so let's move to our next guest. Is he here with us? Yes, he is here with us.
Sorry,
yes, please pick it up. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I had a little problem with connection here. Sorry, I went off some minutes. I didn't even hear my boss very well. Eko International Film Festival was basically formed for the best reasons of other film festivals, whereby we have great opportunities to showcase films from the new entrant into the film industry and also the older ones. Film festival, to me, is also create a platform for cross-cultural dialogue and film acting as a soft power for changing the society. It's been a very rough road all these years trying to keep this international film festival going on. But one of the best achievements I would say that we've succeeded with the International is getting films from virtually every continent of the world. That means the eyeballs is on Nollywood. In fact, the most surprising one is getting submission from Iceland. I'm very, very happy about that, and we're happy about that. We've been struggling actually in terms of so many things that we're supposed to do. And unfortunately, last year we would have had one of the best film market projects, which we have almost concluded arrangement at Federal Palace Hotel to use for a venue for the exhibitions from 27 countries, Europe and America and Asia. But unfortunately, we all know what happened, the pandemic. It was just, I still feel the pain because I wanted to do the unusual and also, use that platform because film market is one of the core importance of a film festival, whereby producers, directors, and those who want to seal deals for new projects and do trading. And because if you look at film festival, it's like trade fair of films. And I can go on and on in terms of collaborations, especially with Makido Film from Austria. It's a very big foundation film that we had good collaboration with Poland, with United States in collaboration with the Obioma Cultural Center. We did it simultaneously here. The way forward we think our film festival can go is we need to start doing a search on how we can, continue this event with this current situation in terms of the COVID situation that is happening to the world now. We are just hoping that by the grace of God, before next edition, we can. And we have already established a film academy, which is the offshoot of the International Film Festival, Universal Movie Academy, to be launched by September 2015 here in Lagos, Nigeria. We created a film academy here for training because we've discovered that in as much as the festival is about 12 years, this is an area we need to explore. Because the film festival culture is not yet very, very much here in Nigeria, whereby we can count our film festivals on our fingers, maybe 10 or 15, while in California we have almost 100 and something film festivals there. So film festivals also help in tourism to the country, because when you're getting films from all these countries, they are looking at us and seeing the possibility of investment potentials in the country. And I hope and we believe that the festival should be sustained over time so that we can be able to be as big as Berlinale, Cannes, Venice, and the rest of them we have attended. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So that was our first round of questions. So that was the question that I posed to the panel. This time I'm going to ask a question from the chat. Before I ask the question again, I want to appeal to our panelists to be very conscious of time. And we have our questions which are very direct. So please try to answer the questions or respond to the questions as directly and briefly as you can. That way we can take in more questions, because I'm sure there's going to be a ton of questions this morning. So here we go. This is a question coming from Anne Sarafina Nioha, who is launching an international horror film festival. I believe this is one of the festivals that Fidelis Duker was referring to earlier on as a niche kind of festival. But the question, how can one get funding? Also, how was it when you first started, and what measures did you take to grow the festival? So the first part is, how do you fund a film festival, and how do you grow a film festival? Shall we go in the order in which we went at first? So Ugoma, do you want to begin?
Yes,
Okay,
I could.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
I'm multitasking. So funding. Well, I mean, you know, at the time we started the festival, of course, starting from, again, knowing that it was sort of a niche audience. First of all, it was a niche audience, so there was really no audience, because I remember when, very clearly, one of my fellow guests said how they were so surprised at the interest. You know, when we started, it was sort of like, nobody wants to see these kinds of films, because we had the film club, which was every week. And we're not really highly attended, but we just thought, look, this is what I want to express, because I also have a mission to put certain content and certain themes out there, because I feel that are useful for our cultural growth and civility, to be very honest, which is at the core of everything that I do. So knowing that the audience itself had to be cultivated, we started really from, I guess, self-funding, and that's not unusual to do. But then, you know, reaching out to, you know, our patrons, of course, reaching out to friends. It always starts with friends and family. I don't think any Nigerian business will start without asking with friends and family. So we started with friends and family. But then over time, you know, as you perform and fulfill those small missions and take these small baby steps, of course, word spreads. And then we had the confidence to start approaching corporates. And in fact, the trajectory of my film festival was friends, family, and then corporates, because then it was popular. People would talk about it. And then people that wanted to brand, you know, in a niche way and in an elegant way would support us. Then I really sort of started what I feel was the early days of crowdfunding, even though it had no name at the time in my mind, which was really just asking the audience to be part of what they wanted to see. So you like this festival, we have a free festival, and it was intentionally meant to be free. And I never wanted to change that. So we started reaching out to the community itself. And we'll find that there were communities, people in the community who would head budgets in corporates, people who had philanthropic attitudes. And that's really, I would say, the core of the funding of Lights Camera Africa has been, by the last festival we had, was almost like 40% corporate and 60% private donations. But I think that funding has a lot to do with the director and the founder and your capabilities and the kind of team you have. I don't believe there's any one way to fundraise. Obviously, I wish that I could have some of the blood that is running through Chioma Ude's veins, and I keep telling her that I'm coming for lessons. But I feel that you have to find your own way of fundraising, which must be true to your personality and your style and your network. So I hope that answers some of your questions. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, Cheoma, we're all coming. All right, you please pick it up from there.
Okay, Ugoma is special, so I'm sure she would continue to survive. But I'll tell you what, I think producing the first traveling film festival that came to Nigeria, ION, helped me a lot in terms of funding, because it showcased my capabilities. It showcased my passion to the state government. So while if I'd the idea from my home, it would have been a totally different approach. So because we did Ion so well, I mean, we tried our best. I was a local producer. Gradually, the state government itself said to me, why don't you do this with us? So I had a different approach with funding. And so, you know, approaching them, I said, sorry, I have a little baby who's really trying to come into the camera. You shouldn't see. So anyway.
That's okay.
I've tried to occupy him. Anyhow, so I had the support of the state. And that was good. That was the first attempt, you know, because they asked me to come up with something for the country. The Traveling Film Festival had left, and they were like, why can't we continue with something like this? So now that was the first. The second, I couldn't hold because I was left, you know, wondering, what do I do? The state had done what it's supposed to do, and they clearly stated it was for the first festival. After then, you're kind of on your own. So I had to step back and think of how to push this forward. Going to Calabar, everybody thought that the Calabar, the Cross River State government gave me money. I actually gave them money. They didn't give me any money. So I actually worked with a corporation, a big organization, and my whole thing was, how do we revive Tinapa? So I came up with a solution to a problem. And that helped with the festival. So if I brought the festival in Tinapa, this is what I intend to bring to Tinapa. And so how do we go, how do we go about that? They needed to make the place alive. They needed to put money in it. So in funding Tinapa, the festival was also funded. So now I did 2 years of that, and the new government comes on board, who probably has a different style, but I didn't even bother approaching the person, because for me now, I come up with different ideas on how to run this ship. I instantly knew that government was going to be a problem because they change so often, and it depends on who likes you or who likes film. So I decided to take government completely out of the equation. And I would say that was my biggest breakthrough ever. I started going to different organizations. So you go to the organization and you study it before you get there. And you try to find out what they are lacking and how you can support what they're lacking. And it also helps to know who you're going to, because if you go blind, then the chances of your paper going through is very hard. I don't care what beautiful idea you had. So just coming up with solutions for companies with the festival very much helped, because a lot of them don't understand festival, talk less. They don't understand film, talk less of festival. So you had to come up with a solution for them. How do I bring accounts to your festival, to your bank? How do I bring new demography to your product? So for me, that's how I've continued to run this. But now, we thank God, it's gone to a different level, where the international organization has literally come up to say, how can we buy into what you're doing? How can we co-own the festival with you? So right now we're talking about co-owning the festival with an international organization, and that keeps your thinking cap off the table for a bit, because sometimes you just need to rest your head in thinking of how to support a particular organization with what you're doing. So for the girl who has the horror film festival, I would say, because it's now very niche, you have to find that organization that is ready to look into that kind of, you have to identify your demography, your people, and say, I can bring these people to your organization. I can bring this to your corporation. How do we, if you support me, this is what you get. And you try as much as possible to show them that they're getting their value for their money. That also goes a long way. That brings them back the second, the third, the fourth year, and it continues to grow. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those tips. You can see why everybody gravitates to you. All right, thank you. Let's take our next guest, which of course is Mr. Fidelis Duker. I think you are muted.
Thank you very much, Tony. Yes, I was muted. Thank you. For me, there's no clear-cut direction to funding. Absolutely no clear-cut. For you to fund, like when we started the festival, I think one of the speakers mentioned it earlier, it was family and friends. It was the commitment of family and friends who showed support for the festival. Yes, there are different forms of, and again, like I will be, let me just address the question of the young lady who asked about our horror film festival. For you to pick a niche film festival, you must also look for the viability of that festival in your environment. Do you have films in that genre? Do you have filmmakers who make films? So that's the first thing you should consider. How many Nigerian films are in that genre? So you have to be very careful the kind of festival you choose. So that's one. That will also aid support and funding for your festival. So for us, when we started, simply was that we have to engage our family and friends. Subsequently, over the years, when we could sustain the festival, which is the second part of how do you grow the festival, we were able to sustain the festival 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. By the 4th year, we got government support. I think the Bayelsa State government came at the point in time, funded the festival. Of course, like Cheoma said, if the government will only come at when they have something they want to showcase at that point in time, and they left. So you must also begin to have in place a permanent source of funding. And how do you get this permanent source of funding? There are times between the festival, you get so much funding, you have to keep a sum aside as learning cost. Because after the festival ends, maybe in November or in October, for the next 1 year is planning. You must have funding to plan for that 1 year before the next festival, assuming you do not get the sponsors you want. Yes, you expect corporates, but you see, because of the number of festivals, and again, one important point we've not made here is that even the Nigerian corporate world have not understood the importance of the festivals. Even the government, I think one of the speakers mentioned tourism. The government have not even seen the essence of these film festivals, because these film festivals are in different parts of Nigeria, holding at different times. It's an opportunity for even the government to showcase the best of Nigeria to the world. So, but when you tell them you are looking for funding for your festival and you are expecting they will fund it, they give you excuses like, what do we stand to gain? It's only filmmakers, we have seen the films. So for me, I think for every filmmaker who wants to raise funding for his festival, you must also look at your network. Your network determines your net worth for the festival. You must look at your network. Who are those you can meet? Who are those you can convince that your festival is viable? And of course, the most important, for a first-time film festival, it is very, very difficult, particularly difficult, unlike Cheoma, who had funding at the first one, because they approached her to make the festival for them. For a first-time film festival, it is probably very difficult if you are the initiator to get funding. So you must be very creative about your funding opportunities. I think one of the first things to think, look at those around you, convince them, and see how you can start small. Like when we started the festival, we started small, and you begin to grow the festival bigger and bigger over the years. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's Hope ready to pick it up. Is he here? All right, Mr. Okhai could probably begin while we wait for.
Here, please. Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. I think there are so many reasons for getting sponsorship, but because here in Nigeria is a peculiar country, film festival is not that depth in the minds of government and corporate organizations. Why am I saying this? Most sponsorship in Nigeria is if you have the fellow who knows Joseph, no matter how beautiful your project is. I've been at Eko International Film Festival for 11 years, and I'm talking from experience, whereby the funding has been 95% of me and my team. We have to enlighten, we are trying to enlighten the government the importance of film festival opening doors for tourism. I'll give you an instance. California, before COVID, had about 250 million visitors in a year and made about $419 billion. Do you know how many film festivals they're having is over 100 film festivals. Every other year, activities is going one section of the state or the other. So the funding has been a very serious issue. And our corporate organizations prefer our stars for branding than our platforms. And they never know, or they never knew that the stars, these platforms make the stars. Because if you win the best actor in an international film festival, that's a very big applause for you as a good actor or actress. We have tried so many ways to reach out for sponsorship. Funny enough, most of this government still sponsor their officials to attend international film festival like Cannes, Toronto, and all the rest of them. Now, let me tell you why Cannes Film Festival is big. The annual budget of Cannes Film Festival every year is $22 million. And government give them 50% of that money, and they should go and count for the rest balance, or the rest money from corporate organization, which is a lot easier. If a government stands behind a film festival, first of all, and say, look, we are powering this film festival, even if they're giving you only 2 million naira, for that word, it will encourage brands and other agencies to say, if the government is supporting this event, why don't we support? And that gives you the opportunity to now showcase what the film festival is all about. Everything is, the universal language is money. You can't just use the ordinary hand to go and catch a lion. You have to do something. So sponsorship is very tedious for every film festival in Nigeria. I have to say that. We don't have enough. We are almost 200 million, and I think film festivals is just 10 or 15. While California is less than 40 million, they have over 100 film festivals, and they are making it. Can you imagine tourism? What they lost last year from tourism is $72 billion because of COVID. Hello? So you can imagine that if the government can come and know that this film festival is also like an aperture or a way whereby investors, big studios, big investors can come in here to come and invest. Tomorrow we start shouting, oh, they went to South Africa, they went to Ghana. What are you doing to start bringing them here? It's very important that people should not start looking at film festival from it thing, it belongs to him. No, the trickle effect of film festival goes to everywhere. Let's assume I have 5,000 visitors from coming into Nigeria. They're not going to stay on the street. They'll stay in the hotels. They'll change their money. They'll go to eateries. They'll do a lot of things. So that is why you don't wake up one day and say, oh, you want to be as big as Cannes Film Festival, which their budget is $22 million, and government giving a 50% of it. And all of us will be going there, improving the environment, improving the economy. We need to have the government should have a rethink. You don't just have cultural and tourism. What are you doing? It's not going about and having handshakes abroad. Let's start to see how we can replicate all these film festivals with travel abroad and start to bring it home. Nollywood is big. We have great directors. We have great producers. We have great actors. How we can start showcasing ourselves is getting a platform to attract people to come here. It's enough. It's enough for me to start going to Venice, to go to Holland, to go to this. I've been to so places. In fact, I was invited to the Oscars in 2014. I went to the Oscars as publisher of some magazine. It's high time we start bringing those people we are going to see, bring them back home. And governments have to support us, no matter how little, because the name government is big. Other companies can now key into it and support and grow our film industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that passionate response. Okay, so let's move on to our last guest. By the way, I need to just let everyone in the forum understand that Ugoma Adegoke might be leaving us very soon. So when we get to the next round of questions, I'm not entirely sure that she will still be here with us. Just in case we lose her in the interim, we want to express our utmost appreciation for your presence here and the responses you gave to our questions this morning. Okay, so let's move to
Thank
Mr.
you.
Victor Okhai to respond to the question. Thank you, Ugoma.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to speak directly to the question that she raised, and I'll try to be as brief as possible. And then I might just expand a little, but I'll try and as brief as possible. First, she's running, or she's trying to organize a niche festival. They're very difficult, especially in this part where everything is about glamour. When we started InShort, we knew it was going to be, I mean, it's not where all the big stars are, but we also recognized how important, we also knew how important what we were doing was, and especially to the people that the festival was targeted at, you know. So we just stayed focused. One thing you need in whatever you do is passion. If you're doing it because of business, or you're waiting for government to come and give you money, or waiting for sponsorship, then you will soon get out of that business. If you want to call it a business, you must be driven by passion. You must believe in the genre. You must believe in what you're doing, because that is going to give you sustaining power, you know, at the end of the day. That said, while a niche may seem like a disadvantage, it could prove an advantage. Horror, you might look at it and say, but who watches horror? But here's what I want to say to you. In fact, you can convert that feeling weakness into strength. How? Because horror is not something that so many people want producing. There are not too many festivals in that area. I want to assure you there are many horror filmmakers, even if you have just 500 of them or 600 of them globally. That community itself is seeking expression. They're seeking for an outlet. So that the fact that you're doing it and you're the only one in Africa already makes you special. And one thing I can assure you, since you're talking about fundraising, even if you don't get a corporate share, you don't get any other money, on Film Freeway, you can attach a fee, entry fee. These horror filmmakers would be willing to pay. It could be $5, it could be $10, it could be $15. I promise you, because they're seeking expression, they're looking for a way, and they want a festival. There are not too many of such festivals. They can put money, they can pay an entry fee. Entry fees are one of the ways. We don't charge any, you know. Some festivals do, but we are not doing it out of choice. Another one is that there are people that are passionate about what you do. Do not be afraid, or don't be too embarrassed to ask for help. If you tell me, say, this is what we're doing and we need support, those who believe in what you're doing will support what you're doing. Another thing is that as you prepare to do your festival, you can put the word out there. Who's interested? Start, if you like online, start what's like a horror film club. You'll be amazed at people's taste, you know. That person you look at who is always, you know, and all that. I have seen pastors who, their favorite programs, for instance, I'll give you an example, is wrestling. Wrestling is violent, but and boxing. But there are pastors, general overseers who love wrestling and boxing, you know, and you'll be surprised. So you don't know what people's tastes are until you put the word out there. So what I want to say is put the word out there, start a horror film club, you know, and grow it like Ugoma started with our film club. And you'll be amazed at the people who have a passion for horror films. Some of us who are old enough remember Hammer House of Horror. And it was something we watched at the time, you know, and many people still love it as well. So don't be despondent, don't let anyone discourage you. I'll say to you, go for what you have started. Until you start, you don't know, they haven't started. Until you start, you don't know who might be interested. Until you start, you don't know who might be willing to put something behind it. You'll be surprised that the energy drink people might be interested. You'll be surprised that there's some brands that may want to, you know, key into it as a warehouse. So what I would say to you is just start. Just like Nike would say, just do it. Go out there. And if you're looking at it as business, forget it. You will fail from the beginning. Yes, I said so. Just go in there. If the audience is just 2 or 3 at the beginning, not a problem. Start to do, they will grow. It doesn't matter where you start with. Start with what you have, where you are. And I promise you, if you are focused on what you're doing and you're passionate about it, the audience will find you. From wherever they are in the world, they will beat a pathway to your doorstep. I'd like to end at that point, right?
Thank you so much. Really appreciate these tips for the person who wants to start a horror film festival. I'm not one of the panelists, but if I might just get in one piece of advice there, if you're into horror films, I would say start it and target young audiences. That is the genre where young people flock to. Target university, college, high school students, and you will get an audience for your festival. Okay, so there is another question here. Part of it is about funding, but I believe that part of the question has been answered already by the panelists. The question is from Jean-Paul Umoru. So I will ask the second part of his question. Is there a body that houses owners of film festivals in Nigeria where upcomers can join and learn from successful festival directors and founders? So basically this question is asking, is there an organization to which all Nigerian film festivals belong? I believe this is part of the conversation about networking as well. So anybody can pick up this question. We would appreciate an answer to it.
I think, well, I would say we have organized ourselves at the local level that much yet, but at the African level, yes, most of us belong. I'll let Fidelis Duker speak to that. He's very actively involved. I'm a member as well. Some of us are members. So let Fidelis address that question. They'll be able to answer the question effectively.
All right, thank you. Yes, Mr. Duker, please.
Yes. Thank you, Victor. Yes, the African Film Festival Association, AFA, that is a body that is made up of festivals on the continent. Basically, festival. It was launched sometime in May 2021 in Luxor, Egypt. A couple of the festivals here are members. InShort is a member. Eko International Film Festival is a member. AFRIFF is a member. Abuja Film Festival is a member. ILEP, Documentary Film Festival by Femi Dubemi, also a member. I think Ugoma's festival, I don't know, I'll check, should be a member. But it's basically for festivals that have had at least a minimum of 2 editions. That's the criteria. The only reason why it was initially, excuse me, it was initially 3 editions, but we had to make it 2 because we felt that there was a need for consistency. Not after an edition. We've had festivals in Nigeria here which only took place once, and then after 7 years, they reappear and announce their 7th edition. And so we felt that there must be consistency in the festivals to become members of the collective. And the whole idea of the collective is like what Mr. Omoru asked, is to go the younger film festivals that are just emerging, give them tips, advices, and then see how we can support. I think in the constitution too, there's a part that also accepts associate members. Those are festivals that are maybe 1 year or about, like the Horror Film Festival by the young lady. Those ones are not voting members, do not have voting rights. They're just members on the fringes. Yes, I said the criteria is you must have done 2 editions of the festival to become a member, at least 2 editions. And then for those who have not had any edition or just new festivals, there's a category for them called the associate members. They have no voting rights. They're just members on the fringes, pending when they're able to do their 2nd edition of the festival. And I also mentioned that locally, that's Nigeria, we tried to establish one some years back, but we've not been able to meet that year. So, but now with the emergence of more festivals coming up, I think it's something we should reconsider to see how we can have a local one where it's basically Nigerian film festivals, and see how we can begin to network, exchange ideas, and of course, offer support mechanism for our festivals.
If you want to start a film festival, just take my cue. I met Fidelis Duker and told him, this is what I want to do. How do I start? How do I do this? I have passion for this. So the first thing you should do is to meet an organizer. Let him give you an advice. It's kind of a tutelage of what you are going into before you start talking about entering the association. That is it. Sorry, that's what you're supposed to do first. And it's very important you attend local film festival, get involved as a volunteer, get involved in activities from the beginning to the end. It's how you start having insight on how to establish film festival. Like I said earlier on, we don't even have enough. Every state in Nigeria is supposed to have a minimum of 3 or 4 film festivals. That will help the film industry. Thank you very much.
So one last point, I think Hope just helped me, reminded me. In 2005, myself and Victor Okhai, after our first or second edition of the festival, then Victor was running the ITPAN Film Festival then for ITPAN. We were invited by the German government to understudy the Biennale. And for 8 weeks, we worked behind the scene, seeing how the festival was. And that's why I agree with what Hope said. As a volunteer, we were just volunteers. We were there for 8 weeks in Berlin. And we were there going through the different places, the different departments, programming, selection, the jury. We have to walk through the festival for that 8 weeks to understudy how the festival runs. I think that is something that is key for any aspiring film festival organizer. It's very easy now that there are many festivals to an extent in Nigeria that you can learn from. Unlike our time when we started, there was none. We had to go out there to learn from the major big ones like the Biennale and Cannes. You have local ones at home here, which you can learn from.
If I could add my 2 cents to the lady who wants to start a film festival, the Horror Film Festival. Back in 2014, in 2013 in Calabar, a young man came with a short film on horror. And one of our trainers at the time came in from Canada. He was very intrigued with the film. The film went ahead to even win the short film. It won an award. Now, this man that came from Canada apparently worked with another festival in Canada. He took that film and took it to a horror film festival in Canada. And that boy has continued to grow. He's doing other types of film, but he has also been funded 500,000 euros by some other government, just by being assiduous and hell-bent on what he was doing. So for the horror film lady, I mean, there is a market. It will also be very good if you could affiliate yourself with the festival in Canada. I forget the name, but I can find it. So there are niche festivals like yours you should hook up to, and they would also help grow you.
We're talking about film festivals, and the question I think that has not been raised yet is really, how do film festivals contribute to the development of the film industry? I think 1 or 2 persons have said that it contributes to the development of the film industry. But how exactly does it do that?
I think we've mentioned some of these contributions of film festivals. One is distribution. Globally, film festivals are distribution platforms. Yes, and specifically for Nigeria, with the Abuja Film Festival, we've been able to use the Abuja International Film Festival as a distribution platform. I remember a couple of years ago and some years ago that we had to bring some broadcasters from around the continent to the festival, and a couple of documentaries were selected by the SABC and even the DSTV before African Magic came into being. One of them was this film called This Is Nollywood by Franco Sachi and the team. Yes, that's one. 2, Cheoma also mentioned earlier about training. Festivals are also training platforms where we have workshops, trainings, and all that. I know that typically most of the festivals have workshops and training during the duration of the festival. Like the Abuja festivals, we've had partnerships with the US government and had documentary film training for young filmmakers. We've had trainings in animation and all that. So festivals also contribute that to the industry too. essentially too, like Victor also mentioned, like InShort, I want to tell you that festivals also have given it to young filmmakers whose films could not get into the mainstream market an opportunity to have their films screened at festivals. Because before now, short films, documentaries, nobody saw them. But with the film festivals, you're able to see documentaries that you not have seen. These boys from the National Film Institute, even from the Pan-Atlantic University, you have students who are making films. Last year, we had entries, about almost 10 entries from the university. Normally, these films would not have been seen by anybody. These are also what the festival does for this. And it's a film market too. Like we have the film market in Abuja Film Festival, where exhibitors come there to exhibit their products and services. Products in the sense that you have products like equipment. We've had Canon partner with the festival over the years. We've had Sony partner with the festival over the years, where they bring their equipment there. And of course, filmmakers can engage them. So these are all what the film festival does for the industry. So it's, apart from the networking, the distribution, the training, it's also an environment where you go on holiday, take away time from your busy schedule. I tell people that I look at the film festival as our own World Cup, where people go to the World Cup every year. People compete, yes, there are the awards to reward excellence if you've done very well. So the film festival has so much impact. I hope mention tourism. There are several things the film festival does. But I think the basic challenge we've had is for us to sell this message to the world. I was on a platform yesterday, somebody was telling me that it's finding it difficult to enter a film for the film festival. That she's tired of typing all those information, name of cast, directors, producers, she's tired. She only wants to submit her film and then she's me. I said, no, you have to fill those information, synopsis and all that. That's what makes it a film. So I think even the filmmakers too have a lot of learning. That's why I think this session is very good. We have so many filmmakers here who are watching and listening. It's also a good platform for them to understand that the festivals are there to support and contribute their own quota to developing the industry. Thank you.
Mahmoud's question was about how much, because I was out for a moment, I've lost everything on the chat. But I think I'll try to remember what the question was. The question was, how much traffic are the festivals actually getting so that corporate organizations and the government can buy into supporting the festivals?
Okay, so let me answer that.
Yes, please.
So in terms of traffic, the festival, and I'll refer to AFRIFF, of course, you have the demographic that goes from the little child, because we have animation. So we invite secondary school on the animation days to come and watch certain kind of animations. You have a lot, the universities also we invite to be part of it. Then you have the young filmmakers, you have the established filmmakers, you have the film lovers, you have the corporations, you have the international community, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I'll give you an example of a value that came to one of our big sponsors. So there's a lady from America who came. Her name is Michelle Van Gilden. She was at the festival for a different reason. A lot of times you see a lot of foreigners come to observe the festival for their own, whatever reason it is. And when it was over, when the festival was over, she approached me to say she works with the UN. And so for the next UN UNGA, she wanted this particular sponsor, because she found him to be the biggest sponsor. She found him to be very interested in film, to come to, so they were inviting him over to America to come and speak at the UN and be part of this new thing everybody in the film industry is seeing now, called Africa No Filter. So Africa No Filter is going to be seeing to young filmmakers, established filmmakers, and corporations, festivals, they give them money for different purposes. And so he was very intrigued by that. He flew to the UN that September, was part of it. There are different people that come for different reasons. And once these organizations are able to identify that, then you'd have more people coming on board.
Okay, so before we move on to the next question, there was a part of Mr. Duker's comment that I wanted to actually follow up on, which is on the question of volunteering. I would like, especially for those who are running the bigger film festivals, what opportunities
are we done with the benefits? Are we done with benefits?
Well, we will come to the benefits. We will come to it. We will come back to it. But I just want to piggyback on a comment that Mr. Duker made on the question of volunteering. And I think that's part of the benefits as well. So maybe you can pick it up from there in addition to what you wanted to contribute. So over to you, Mr. Okhai.
I think that one of the aspects we're not really taking note of is, or we have not emphasized on, is the issue of tourism. Is critical. There's for me, one of the model festivals that is big on this is the Cairo International Film Festival, the biggest film festival in North Africa and Middle East. It's a festival that is tied to tourism and, if you like, by implication, the local economy. Because beyond just going to that festival, there are events that are organized every day and around the festival and away from even the festival venue to major locations like Luxor, to Alexandria, and a few other places like that. You go, you visit the museum, you know a lot. And a lot of the locals are able to sell, even if they have fake papyrus and a few other things, things that they make like that. And it grows the local economy. You go there, you taste the local food, you experience the nightlife there, you meet with the locals there, and it changes perception. This is something that cities particularly need to take note of. And if we're selling to governments and all that, these are things they need to know, because you don't know who is visiting. Like Cheoma just said, one visit by one person could just turn around the local economy and the tourism potential of that place. But you see, the festival is like a major sports event. People come from all over, and when they come and they visit, they interact with the locals. Hotels will benefit. As the festivals grow, we may not be as big as that, but we're getting there. Hotels will benefit. Local vendors will benefit, tourism guys will benefit, and all of that. So that is huge. That's something we must not take lightly. And then, well, let me just, before I forget, your main question was the issue of volunteering. I want to say that festivals like that, opportunities for volunteers come up, and what it does is that when these festivals take place, a lot of people get temporary employment. The Berlinale, for instance, I can't count the number of people who work, as volunteers during this period. Just get a stipend and all that, but they occupy during the period. Whether or not you're paid, but it's something that you add to your CV as well, because you would have had an opportunity to be able to do that. And in the process, you meet people. And if I may just add on a lighter note, who knows? You might get spoused up in the process as well, and then live happily ever after. But the benefits are quite enormous. But I think that we need to look at the issue of tourism, marketing, and the networking opportunities as well, because many people only meet themselves at festival. The friendship grows beyond there. Although she didn't mention it, I stand to be corrected, but I'm suspecting that the person Chioma Ude was talking about was CJ Obasi. I may be right, I may be wrong, but it just tells you that one visit, one festival.
You're very right, sorry.
I'm correct, right?
Yes, you're correct. Yes.
I'm in the spirit. So you see, it just takes one visit. You don't know, both for the people visiting, for the people showcasing their films, one visit, one meeting, one little talk can open several doors. So the benefits cannot be overemphasized, and it's important that we take them very, 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 very seriously. I don't want to take too much time. I just want to.
Thank you, Mr. Okpara. Mr. Okpara has his hand up. So yes, let's go ahead. Very briefly, please.
Very briefly, I just want to mention what Mr. Victor said earlier on, that film festivals should not be looked as business. Now, he has mentioned the benefit of tourism, and that is where the government benefits so much. Thank you.
No, the point I was making is that if you are an organizer and you are thinking about profits, that what you want to set up a film festival as a profit venture, go and look for another job. That's the point I'm making.
No.
That's what I meant.
Let me tell you something.
Okay.
Cheoma is ready. Cheoma, go ahead.
That's what I meant.
Okay, so if I can give one other example of now a reverse benefit. In 2019, Philip Noyce, who is a big director in Hollywood, came to Nigeria as part of the festival. He's directed Salt, the famous film with Angelina Jolie and one of ours, but a Londoner. And he watched the closing night film. Now, unbeknownst to me, he's also the head of the jury at the Oscars for international films. No, not head of jury. He's a member of the panel that sits to choose who the next Oscar member would be, something like that. So when he went back, he said to me, can you send me 10 names of different directors in Nigeria for, I want to put them as part of the Oscars and see who gets chosen based on their films. So I sent him 10 names and he goes, there's a film I watched at your festival, the closing night film. Who directed that movie? So I said, I started to think about it and I remembered it was this Victor, you might know him. He lives in South Africa, but he's Nigerian. Eko, right. So I gave him Aki. He said, is it part of the 10 names? And I said, no. He said, well, take off the name and put that name. So I did that and I sent it in. Gradually, they sieved through the film. He asked me to ask everybody for a movie that made. They sent in the movies, and then it was down to 2 people. It was down to Aki and Kunle Ofalaya. And just a week before selections, he called me and says, Aki has been chosen. So I had to call Aki and inform him before time and all of that. But today, Aki is a member, is a lifetime member of the Oscars committee because his film showed at the festival and there was Philip Noyce there watching it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's really, that's a beautiful, yes, that's a beautiful story. That's a beautiful story about film festivals. I also just want to say to the many young people, especially students who are listening to this session, about something about volunteering at film festivals. It's not just about watching films. It's not just about how much money you might make. Sometimes you actually don't make any money. As a cash-strapped international student in Toronto, I volunteered for the Toronto International Film Festival. I was not paid a cent to do it, but it really enhanced my event organization capabilities and just issues about planning and being there on time and keeping time management matters. So there is a lot to gain from volunteering at film festivals, even if it is not money. Okay, so let me look at the chat.
Can I address quickly Mahmoud's question, because I don't think anybody has addressed it. The issue of traffic. I think that's key.
Yes, please go ahead. Yes.
Yes, I think that's key, and that's a very fundamental question he asked, because the success of any festival, the success is basically about the traffic at the festival. If you're looking for sponsors, they come there to look around. How many people are there? It's one of the biggest challenges we've encountered at festivals. We must be sincere with ourselves. Even if you have 1,000 people at your festival, it's not enough for a film festival of that magnitude when you call it international. So I think one of the things we must consider too is partnerships. And these partnerships can even be with the institutions, the universities in your community, so that the students can even, apart from being volunteers too, they can also attend. And then if you have a category for student films, of course, if a student has his film screening at the festival, he will invite his friends and all that to come and see his film. So that's one area we've been able to, at the Abuja Film Festival in the last couple of years, we've been able to address, trying to see how we can partner with the nearby universities that are close to the festivals. I think Cheoma mentioned something about, for kids like the secondary schools and all that. But traffic, if you notice, with the major filmmakers, they find it difficult traveling for festivals within Nigeria. But they are very eager to travel to Toronto or to Venice or to Berlin. I think it's something we must, I know why Mahmoud asked that question. We must, as film festival organizers, begin to put things that will attract them. And these are the elements we must find out from the filmmakers too. What will make you, initially it was holiday for them. At the beginning of the Abuja Festival, we used to have close to 50 to 100 established filmmakers attending. Not the young filmmakers, not the student filmmakers, the established ones. For them, it was holiday, away from the bustling of Lagos or Enugu at that time, or Asaba, to just go to Abuja and relax. But over time, the numbers kept reducing. And with that, so I think it's important we begin to address the issue of traffic. We need to get those traffic that will also aid the other elements we're asking for, sponsorship, support from government. Imagine you have 25,000 people in Lagos or Abuja, all around the festival venues. The government will be attracted. It's a mileage. So it's the traffic that also enhances patronage of the festivals. So it's something that we as festival organizers will begin to consider and see how we can address that issue. That's the point I want to make as regards Mahmoud's question.
Thank you so much for that response. Yes, Cheoma, you wanna jump in there? Yes,
just
please go ahead.
Buttress what Fidelis had said. For my sponsors, I've had 2 sponsors now. When the festival is over, they want to see the data. So I share the data with them of the number of people that came. So another thing, Fidelis, is that a lot of people do come for your festival. A lot of people would attend your festival, but I don't know whether we're very good at capturing the data. So if you have an organization behind you asking for data, then you would also make it a point of duty to try and capture everybody that comes. Loads of people come to watch movies, but they don't register. They just walk in because we've made it all free. So normally the people that register are the students that are coming and people coming in from abroad. But you have a lot of people that go to watch films. So that strengthened us in capturing the number of people, whether you're going into the cinema to watch a movie and you'd register before, would have your name again. So at the end of the day, we find out that 10,000 people came, 11,000 people came throughout the course of 7 days, 13,000. We've had in Calabar, the numbers were crazy because, it was Calabar and that was what was happening and everybody was there. So it's also for us to find ways to capture every single person that comes in. You have to do that, and you find out that more people come for your festival than you even know.
Thank you. So one very practical question that I want to ask the panelists. Can you tell the audience when your festival actually holds, if it is holding this year, if it has held this year already? So just give us some of that practical, factual information. And you can also tell us how your festival networks with either local or regional or national art organizations or even other festivals. So Hope, do you want to go with this one? Would you like to take this up? Is he still with us? Ms. Okpara, please.
Sorry, I'm having fluctuations of data coming in and going out.
All right.
Well, in that very area, I think we have been successful on that. But Cheoma just gave a very strong advice on capturing attendees. Because most times when people come, they will just flow and you don't really get some of the information. We have partnered with Niger State government. In fact, they came in their numbers and stayed 3 days for Eko International Film Festival in Lagos. And we have also partnered with, like I said, Poland police government. Even the ambassador attended our event in Lagos, including U.S. consulate and other people. in terms of our local this thing, because we just see every Nigerian as Nigerian, not specifically that without even mentioning maybe this association came, this association came. We all look at everyone as a practitioner, and that is how we, you know, not sort of a direct kind of partnership. I think capturing data of who came, where you from, is very, very important. So finally, you mentioned that you said that we should mention the dates of our next event, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. Let me also use the opportunity to say that we are launching a new platform, because awards are also festival, but it's just that it's a one-day thing. We are launching Universal Movie Awards by September 25th here in Lagos. It's a platform that is like BAFTA, Golden Globe, and all the rest of them. Our unique platform has opportunity for everybody to contest in all the categories, like 27 categories, including commercial TV awards, unlike some organizations that have only one category for the rest of the world. Our own is different, and we have gotten film from all the continents of the world. Then our Eko International Film Festival is March 7th to 12th, 2022, and submission is still open till January 28th.
Okay, let's go to Cheoma. When is your festival? Yeah.
Our festival is in November. It starts November 7th this year to November 13th. It normally runs for 7 days. We have quite a number of partners and partnerships, with the American Embassy being one of our big partners. They've partnered with us for 6 years now. The Japanese government have come on board since 2019, and they're on board again this year. There's a strong growth and call for animation in Nigeria. So last year, March, we started an animation training institute where the Japanese government comes towards the end to go into creation with our students. In doing that, the American government also have joined hands to go into to develop animation even further. We have the Brazilian government asking to be part of what we're doing. There are a lot of these embassies that come on board, but the issue is that one comes on board, but then you broaden the scope by going into the country and meeting with other filmmakers and other institutions to also make it a lot wider than what you're already doing. I would say for now that America is very big in the festival, because we now have partners coming in to say we want to buy the partly buy the festival and run it with us. And some other people saying, oh, maybe the festival can be that aggregator for their platform. So there's a big platform coming into Nigeria that is not Netflix, that is asking questions and saying, you know, would like your films to come into the festival, because opening and closing films and a lot of other films always end up in bigger festivals and also getting awards. So they are very keen on having the festival be an aggregator for that platform.
All right, Mr. Philip, Mr. Duker, please, do you want to take it up?
I said the festival this year will be from the 1st to the 5th of November 2021. Entries will close on the 30th of July, while late entries will be accepted the 30th of August for this year. And of course, we accept films in all genres, from features, animation, short films, documentaries, experimental, and student films, all made in the last 24 months. Maximum.
Thank you so much.
And then, of course,
yeah, thank you.
Partnership is with, like I mentioned
earlier.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, partnership we have with the US Embassy, we have with the Chinese government, which has been our partners for about 11 years now, and they keep sending entries and supporting the festival. Then we have with Sony and Canon, their equipment manufacturers too, who exhibit at the festival. And then, of course, we partner essentially with the guilds and associations in Nollywood deliberately, so they can also get their members to participate and be part of the festival and understand the unique reason for the festival. We're also organizing some workshops ahead of the festival this year for some of the guilds and associations. That's our partnership. And we'll have to expand it. We have with government agencies too, federal government and all that. So that's it basically.
Mr. Okhai, please.
So we have become like the Christmas festival now. So we hold it in December, usually the second week in December, the last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, usually a 3-day festival. And in terms of partnerships, we have been partnering with many of the short film festivals, because usually we have like exchange programs. Sometimes they want films from us, we aggregate some of the best films from our festival here. So we have that kind of relationship with other short film festivals, around the world. Goethe Institute has always been there for us. Although at the beginning, it was made very clear, we'll support you for a number of years, but you want to be sustainable. And I think it's a very good model, so that nobody just relies only on one, you understand what I'm saying, one organization. And we're quite grateful for the support that we'll be getting. Local institutions like the Nigerian Film Corporation have been supportive as well. We have had partnerships from corporates as well. I know that over the years, the Access Bank, for instance, has been there for us throughout, believing in what we do and supporting what we do in their way. And this has helped tremendously in our dream to support the dreams of young filmmakers in this country.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so we are getting close to our time to wrap up our activities. There are two questions that come up, and I want to put them together. The one is really, both questions are about information. Okay, so the first part of the question is, what presence does your festival have online for people to access information? In actual fact, part of that question is there a platform where we can access information about all Nigerian film festivals, for instance? And if not, does your own film festival have a solid and, website or some other platform where we can access information? The second question is obviously coming from a student who is asking, as an actor, my question is, as an actor and filmmaker, my question is, what is required to submit my films for festivals? Do I need to make many films before I can do so? So two questions. One is purely about information. How much information do you have for us to access? And the second one is, what advice do you have for very young filmmakers? So asking, how do I even get my films to you? Cheoma, do you want to start
first? I want to leave.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Just very quickly, I have to get, So we are on InShortFilmFestival.org. Although right now the website we're reworking it because we're trying to rebrand it because of certain new things that we're bringing in. So we have a presence, and we have a Facebook page as well, we have an Instagram account as well. And then for the young man who is asking, you don't need too much. You just need one short film, that's all. It can be a passion project, just saying that you never know. Anything can come out of it. It's not, I'm talking about for us, for instance. You don't have to wait to do a feature film. You have InShort as a platform. And so if you're able to make, it doesn't matter whether you shoot on mobile, and that's what we need to encourage. So whether you shoot on mobile phone or whatever it is, as long as you can express yourself, come in there. You never know who might take an interest in what you're doing. Don't wait until you have shot a feature film or you have shot 10 films. Just submit what you have, and you'll be amazed at what doors it can open for you.
Thank you. It would be great if you were able to do this, to drop that website on the chat so we can all follow it. Okay. All right, Chioma, are you there? Can you pick it up?
Hi, yes. We'll also social media accounts, and also we have a very good website, very interactive. So the festival, this year our theme is actually Africans for Africa. Right. And that says, you have to look good in your house while coming together. We need to create ourselves well, position ourselves different, tell our own stories, do everything really well, because they are coming. They're here, actually. They're not coming anymore. They're here to take. Now, for this festival, I need films that are importantly, if you don't have those kind of films, because there's a limit to how much time we have and how many films we can showcase. So your film has to be really competitive to be in the festival now, because we get films from all over and they're really good films. But the theme also helps. If your film is not that strong, but it's in that theme, then the chances of it being chosen very high. You just go to Film Freeway and you submit your films that way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Mr. Okpara has done something really awesome for us. He's dropped the link to his festival. So if the other panelists can do the same thing before we get to you, or even after we get to you, that would be awesome as well. Mr. Duker, I want to pick this up. Is he there? Fidelis, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, let me quickly respond.
Yes.
To assess, like the young filmmaker asked about how to submit the film, it's very simple. To find our website is www.abujafilmfestival.com. As simple as that. All you need to do, you can just go to Google, just Google the Abuja Film Festival, and you see the festival website top up at the top of your header on the Google search engine. That's very easy. That's one. Two, I will also put it on the platform here for those who need the website. I'll put it there. Two, for submission, you do not need several DVDs. The era of DVDs is slightly going out of fashion. Globally, films are submitted digitally online. So we use the platform called Film Freeway. You just go there, type Abuja Film Festival, you see the link and it appears, and then you can just submit your film from anywhere in the world. And when we started the festival, it was free to submit entries until about 4 years ago because of the number of entries we are receiving. And you see, when it's free, you receive all kinds of films. And at the end of the day, it becomes very difficult to select. You can imagine you have close to 5,000 or 10,000 films to select from. So that's why we now introduced a fee, which is then in different categories based on when you are submitting and what kind of films. Then finally, I would just want to say that the festival is there open to support the Nigerian film industry. That was the essence of the festival at inception. And we'll continue to do that year in, year out. As at the last count, we've received films from about 70 countries. And by the end of this month, we'll end the early bid, and then it will be open for the late entries, which attracts an extra fee for submitting late. But beyond that, by the end of September, October, we'll have released the film that have been selected, and then the filmmakers will be contacted, and then we hope to have this year, unlike last year, which was online, which was something we didn't mention because of COVID. This year, we're having a physical film festival this year, where we expect that to a large extent by November, the COVID-19 restrictions will have been a bit more relaxed, and we could have filmmakers attend the film festival this year in a more habitable environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we have just a few minutes for us to wrap up. So I want to pose one question that needs a very quick answer from everyone, which is, what is the future of film festivals in Nigeria? Ladies first, Cheoma, please go ahead.
I think the film festival in Nigeria is really, really, really bright. I was in LA 2 months ago, and I know what everybody's talking about. I know what they're looking at. There's so much for us here, and I feel like we even need more. That's what I feel. But you know, with the constraints of finance, maybe we won't have as much for now. But yes, you need more film festivals, because when an organization is saying, "Oh, I want to buy into your film festival," then you know strictly they want to mold it for a certain market. So what about other markets? Who is talking to them? I think that the festival route is very key in Nigeria and is growing rapidly. It's a very good place to be.
Thank you. Mr. Duker, please.
Unmute yourself, Duker. Unmute yourself, Duker.
Yes, thank you, Pope, for reminding me.
Yeah, yes.
Like Chioma said, I see a very, very bright future. I see the film festival environment expanding beyond where it is today. More festivals emerging, more niche festivals like the one we had today, the Horror Film Festival. For me, it's the more the merrier, because if EKO are taking place this year in March, if a filmmaker has missed EKO, he or she has the opportunity of submitting his film in other festivals that are still open for entry. So that's the idea of the film festival. So if we have several film festivals and platforms for the filmmakers, it's an opportunity for them to express themselves. So I see a very bright future. I see with this kind of platforms coming up, and we see filmmakers here joining the session. I see more film festivals emerging in the years to come, and then of course a bright future, and of course government and even corporate understanding the importance of these festivals.
Thank you so much, Mr. Okhai, please. Mr. Okhai, please. Okay, Mr. Okhai, maybe you can start, and Mr. Okhai can join us later.
Okay. First of all, I've already inboxed the link for Eko International Film Festival submission, which is Film Freeway and First Home. There are two platforms, Film Freeway and First Home. And fortunately, you have to pay this time, because it helps us to know those who are very serious to participate. It's not just like they say, you have about 4,000 films, you cannot go through them. It helps you to sift and know those who are serious. The future of film festival in Nigeria is very bright. Outside this Chinese virus, I will tell you that more film festivals supposed to have started coming on, because I receive a lot of mails from some states. How do we start? How do we do? And I've extended invitation to them to attend both Universal Movie Awards. That award is very important. It's because it's a festival. Award is a festival. The only difference is that one is a trade fair of films, which whereby you have opportunities for film markets, like you have in Cannes Film Festival, you have Film Village, whereby you go there and look for distributors, which we are growing to that level. Those are about, their film festival is about 70-something years. We are just 12. So there's a lot feature, because Nigeria is about 180 to 200 million. So every state needs a festival, because once it starts spreading, the issue of partnership, collaborations, companies will start, in fact, struggling to be part of the film festival. So for whoever that is interested in film festival, you are open to send me a mail, contact@ekoiff.org. I can give you an in-depth knowledge of how you can start, but be very careful. You must be resilient. You must sacrifice for you to sustain a film festival. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm sure we can continue this conversation for the whole day, but we don't have that luxury. So I want to by thanking very much our panelists for today. Two of them have left for other events. Earlier on, Ugoma left us. Please pardon me for calling you by your first names. It's not out of disrespect. Ugoma left us. I believe Victor just left a few minutes ago, but we still have Mr. Duker, Ms. Okwara, and Ms. Uday with us. So I want to thank you very, very much for honoring us with this opportunity. And by us, I mean the Nollywood Studies Center at Pan Atlantic University. We really appreciate your time for today. Time is scarce, movement is difficult, and data is expensive. So I know this has been a big commitment on your part to do this. One of our filmmakers, Tunde Kelani, told me one time that, you know, with the way things are going, money is data and data is life. So I really appreciate everything you have done for us today. We have learned a lot. And for attendees, thank you so much for your time. You have also spent money to be with us. I hope you learned something from it. It has been my honor as a visitor to Pan Atlantic University to host the event. I hope to be at your festival at some point, and I appreciate your time. Have a wonderful day, be safe, stay safe, and have a good one. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye, guys.